Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Calvin. We the species chronologically. Hey, this is the last day of February. And what's really great about this, because I'm with Curtis Curveball Jackson. What's great about this is I'm going to work really quickly and turn this around. So this should be going up, March 2nd, March 3rd, really fast. I want to tell you a little bit about Curtis Curveball Jackson through the implementation of Kayden Gordon. Uh, actually, Curtis, just there you go. Perfect, perfect. You're absolutely perfectly centered. Perfect, perfect. Through Kayden Gordon and his show, and he put Curtis Jackson and myself together. I did an interview with Curtis last week, which was great. Really asked me some really great questions. They were really great questions. I'm still kind of spinning because I love introspective stuff. When you get to be 80 years old, you love introspective, and that's what you did, Curtis. You asked introspective stuff. Real quickly, it's just a couple of tidbits about Curtis. He's been blind since birth due to congenital glaucoma, but obviously, and he's a hip hop artist and a podcaster, and he's been writing lyrics, I think, since he was 15. And I love the name Curveball. He could talk about that later, how he got that name from his best friend, Sean. He's got a couple of kids, Daniel and Kiera, and his Living the Dream podcast. This is great stuff. We're talking about and I love this stuff, and I loved being interviewed by Curtis, which was really profound for me and introspective, great questions, as I said. But he motivates and he's inspirational and he's a teacher. And we're gonna really kind of plunge into the life of Curtis Curveball Jackson. Curtis, take it away if you want to say a few opening remarks, say a couple of things, and then we'll do our thing.
Yeah, I just want to say shout out to Kayden Gordon for putting this together, hooking me up with Calvin. Calvin's interview will be out on March 4th on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast. And I just want to once again thank him for inviting me and allowing me to be on the show.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. By the way, you're in Kansas City, is that right?
I'm in Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita, Kansas. It's funny. All my growing up, I've always been fascinated by the real American Midwest. And it's funny, when I was in college, I'm sorry, when I was in high school, wanting to go to college, I was enamored with wanting to go to Iowa school. There was a pharmacy school in Iowa. Drake University had a pharmacy school, and I just wanted to be living in Jersey, a suburb of New York kind of thing. And I look out my window and I have 8 million neighbors, so it's crowded here, and I always was enamored um, with the great American Midwest where you live. Okay, so. Um, you've been blind since birth due to congenital glaucoma, which I mentioned. What was your childhood like? And you grew up, I think, in DeRidder, Louisiana.
Yep. And basically, my childhood was like I went to regular public school and I was the only blind person in school at the time and the only blind person around that people knew. And people had fun. Making jokes, and if I could figure out who they are, if they're quiet or, trying to sneak up on me and stuff like that. But I mean, I went to public school and I grew up around a bunch of sighted people.
Uh, Curtis, who are some of your like earliest influences that shaped your confidence and your independence as you were growing up?
I would say my teachers, my teacher for the visually impaired, Karen Williams, she was a real big influence. And of course, my mom, my family, people like that, who pretty much didn't take mercy on me because I was blind, and people who showed me to do I could do things. I mean, I was doing things like riding a bike, playing basketball, just all kind of stuff that you figured
Wow.
sighted people would be doing.
Wow. Wow. Um, Again, I've said this, and I'll say it a few more times. You are hugely inspirational. It's just hard to process, but you are hugely inspirational. Was there a point when you were growing up that you realized your journey, you're going to be able to inspire others? When did that like come into uh, your 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 thought process?
Well, growing up, I never really paid it too much attention, even though people would tell me that I was the inspiration. I figured they was doing it because I was blind. When I really stepped out there was 5 years ago when I started the podcast. I felt starting the podcast was something God wanted me to do because of the way that it happened.
Okay, it's interesting. The journeys. I drew a lot of inspiration from Eric LeGrand. He was a football player for Rutgers, and he got paralyzed.
Think
Uh,
I remember that like a few years ago.
Yep, a few years ago. Maybe it's 10 or 12, 13, 14 years ago, give or take. I was at that game. I think Rutgers played Army at the Meadowlands, and I was
Yep.
actually in the first row, and you can actually. But anyway, he went on to become one of the most amazing human beings with being paralyzed. The stuff he does is beyond. I interviewed him also. One of my early interviews for this channel was interviewing Eric LeGrand and his college roommate, Tim Wright, who I'm really friendly with. And again, major inspiration as the vibes I'm getting from you, the inspiration. Uh, um, so, um, what mis and I like this question. What misconceptions do people have about blindness that you wish they understood? Because
Well, I wish they understand that blind people are just as capable as anybody else. We might have to do things different, but we are capable. We can work because there's a high unemployment rate in the blind community. We can work. We're regular people. You can talk to us and treat us like regular people. Some people start speaking loudly if they find out we're blind, or they'll talk to the person that we're with or the person next to us like, does he want some chicken? As if you
right,
can't hear.
huh?
But we can communicate. We can talk just like everybody else. And there's several degrees of blindness. Somebody else may be a high partial. They might not be totally blind like me, or they might have some usable vision or light perception or something like that. So just get to know us and educate yourself. Ask the questions to be educated instead of assuming.
My vibes as I'm early on. We haven't met. I just did the audio interview with you. Um, uh, I'm I'm trying to explain this. It's like I'm having a hard time processing that you're blind. I don't know what that means. In other words, you're just a regular guy and we're talking. You're wearing sunglasses. I can put on my sunglasses, but so you put me at ease, and I'm so comfortable with this, and your whole personality, your whole energy field, you're just a regular guy, and that's what you want to be. You're a regular guy, and your adjustment and your journey is fascinating. We'll kind of learn more about that. Um, was there a time when you made, I mean, it's hard. You made a decision to empower yourself rather than to be filled with like self-doubt. but that came early on. Your journey, what you're doing now, came early on, didn't it? Your commitment to accomplish things.
Yeah, absolutely. Because y you know, growing up, people was asking me, "Hey, do you know what group home you want to live in?" and stuff like that. And that wasn't that education uh, blindness really in my hometown necessarily. But me about my biggest influences. Another influence was people in the National Federation for the Blind. Several role models there. So yeah, I knew early on that I wanted to try to be independent and on my own and not living in a group home. Like I guess the typical person or the typical stereotype.
Okay. Okay. Um, Now let's kind of move into some music. So you began, and I love this. You began writing lyrics when you were like 15 years old. What
Yeah,
drew you to hip hop as your voice? Was there something that drew you?
yeah. I got a best friend named Sean Davis. We used to play around in school. You know, just we like hip hop and you know was just starting out and listening to people and just playing around and he kept wanting to encourage me to rap and it's like man, I can't rap. What are you talking about? And I was like, if I did rap, you know, what would my name be? You know, what would I call myself? You know, everybody has a name. And he was like, hey, we'll just call you Curveball and I
Wow,
teach you how to rap. I show you how it works. And so I went with that and then eventually I started writing my own stuff and still doing it at a high level years later. You got an EP coming out here in about a month
great.
and a half.
Wow. We'll talk about that shortly when it comes out. You'll come back and we'll kind of talk about that. Um, it's interesting. This morning when I woke up, I get all these reels and just out of and of course I knew I was interviewing you today, but out of the clear random blue universe, there was Bocelli singing one of his name brand songs, and you know, of course, he's blind, but the emotion and the power in his voice, and you know, you're looking at him, you're just listening to that powerful voice, and you don't even process, you know, blind. It's just, and it's funny because I knew I was going to be interviewing today, and I actually replayed it a couple times. You know, "Time to Say Goodbye," powerful song. Anyway, um, uh, um, is there a particular theme that you're talking about? You know, your EP coming out. Is there a particular theme in what drives your music today?
Um, I would just say to be the best lyricist that I can because I'm really drawn. You know, it's nice to have a good beat, but I'm always listening to the words in every genre of music. So I try to make my wordplay as best as I can, and when people hear my stuff, I want them to be like, "Man, how did he think of that?"
Okay, okay. Um, does music help you express things that words alone can't express?
Absolutely, it definitely does. Music is definitely one of the biggest things when helping out people self-express. So, yep, I definitely use it to express things and talk about things that's going on in the world.
Okay. Um, so you interviewed me for Living the Dream with Curveball, which you said is coming out March 4th, and
Yeah,
and and I look forward to that, and I want to promote that. And of course, I want to listen to it again. I like listening to myself sometimes. Uh, um, so, what inspired you, Curtis, to launch Living the Dream with Curveball?
so what happened, Arthur Ken Brandt, he's from the New Jersey area too, but he lives in Australia. He
Wow.
contacted me. He's visually impaired as well. He contacted me and he had a book coming out like in 2020, and wanted me to interview him. And at the time, I had just graduated from radio school and was doing a internet radio show, but it was music only. So I told him, well, it's music only, and he was like, well, you ought to start a podcast and interview me, and you should start a podcast and stuff since you went to radio school and all that. And I said, okay, well, I'll think about it, and just kept thinking about it, and it just kept coming to my mind. And I'm like, well, God, if you want me to start this, just let me know. And it just kept popping up and popping up. So I started it and I launched it in September 7th of 2020. And Ken Brown was my first,
Uh-huh.
first view.
Okay, you just froze. I don't know if you can hear me. All right, I'm not hearing you. You
I can hear
froze.
you.
Oh, there you go. Okay. All right, moving on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now
Okay.
it's good. You just had a little freeze. Welcome to the internet. Um, so your show focuses on motivation and inspiration. Why is that mission important to you? Motivation and inspiration is important to you.
Well, yeah, like I say on my show, I interview people that teach, motivate, and inspire. So when a person listens some, about a book they didn't know about, thing that a person can learn, financial education, whatever. The motivation to talking about you, about how you were unhappy, for example, in your life, and then you turned it around and started selling eyeglasses and did that successfully for 25 years and all this stuff, so that could motivate somebody who, if they're your age or getting your age, they might feel like, man, what can I do now? I'm getting old. And then they listen to your story, and then they could catch something in it. Oh, that Calvin did this. Let me try this. This is possible. And the same way for inspiration. Hey, it's good to have a dream and want to do something, but if you never try to put it in action, or try to see what's going to happen, then we can all procrastinate. Yeah, I want to do this. Yeah, I want to do this. But until we get inspired, maybe by somebody, see, see what I can do it. Let me go ahead and put it in action.
Okay. Powerful stuff. And that's part of my little mission too. I carve out a little thing, being an octogenarian and doing all the stuff I do. And, I just wrote my third book that's out. It's a nonfiction book. I like to write fiction usually, but my message is if I can motivate lots of people my age, and inspire and motivate, which is what you do for sure. That becomes a mission for me because it's never too late, kind of thing. And uh, I love doing what I do because a part of my little audience is, if the people are older, senior citizens, well, just you can empower yourself and you can do this kind of stuff. And a lot of it is preparation. I don't talk about it a lot, but I was thinking about it this morning. I started because I'm interviewing somebody right after you, who wrote a book geared for senior citizens, how to live and how to prepare for, old age. And I decided in 1969, when I was still in college at Rutgers, that I didn't. I actually said to myself, Curtis, I don't want to age traditionally. I don't like old age kind of thing. So I have lived my life as best I can. Nobody's perfect. In trying to do things that would take me into old age. And I mean, I'm going to Rutgers basketball games regularly, and I'm doing all the stuff I've been doing for the last 30, 40 years. But, it's so as you do to inspire, I try to do in my own way to inspire folks to kind of move on. Um, Was there, Curtis, was there like a particular interview that you did that really uh, impacted you deeply? Do you remember doing any powerful interviews?
Well, I know yours was powerful, especially when you talked about your car crash and stuff, and how you was able to walk away. That there's a person, Jeffrey, about
Okay.
sexual wellness, and uh, Bob Ross, talking about people that I've interviewed. It's like, wow, they didn't even know this stuff was out here.
Okay. Um, Another interesting question. I like this, and in my own way, I know what fatherhood means to me. How has being a father influenced your perspective on resilience and purpose?
It definitely renews it because when you're single and you just got yourself to worry about, that's one thing. If you mess up, you can get it figured out and stuff, and it's just you. But when you got loved ones depending on you, your decisions have to be. I mean, we all make mistakes and stuff, but you don't just have you to think about. Your decisions can affect other people as well. When you have kids and stuff, and they're depending on you and they're looking on you to be able to take care of them because they can't take care of themselves.
Okay, okay. Um, what lessons um, do you most want Daniel and Kiera to carry into adulthood?
Just want them to be willing to work hard for everything that they have. Don't expect any handouts. Be, be kind to people, and follow God, and treat people the best way that they can in all situations, and always be willing to help somebody and give back once you get ahead.
Okay. Uh, I write about fatherhood a lot. In my novel, there's a tortoise in my hair, Journey to Spirit. Fatherhood was an important thing to me, and fatherhood came into my life when I was 10. And I started as a kid. I started when I would sit on this jetty and look at the ocean. I would stare out and wonder what it would be like someday. I don't know why I thought those things. I should have maybe gone to a psychiatrist. As a 10-year-old, I'm not worried about the Dodgers or the Yankees. I'm worried about being a father. And that was in me, like when I was 10 years old. And it's funny, I never I never really I should have. It's not that I should have gone for help, but why is a 10-year-old constantly thinking about being somebody's father someday? And that was just part of who I am and what I am. So I understand when you're talking about Daniel and Kiera how important that stuff is because I've been down that road and it took me 40 years to finally become a father. And it's the best. And now I'm a grandfather. Um, Actually, my grandkids are coming over today and they're sleeping over tonight and hanging out. And I love that. I love that interaction. And I close my eyes and I blink. And I remember when my son was that age and now, 40 plus years later, now I'm a grandfather. It's just a great thing. And I'd rather hang out with them than go to a basketball game. Duh. Anyway, um, so let's talk a little bit about the podcast. What does and I love the title, living the dream. What does living the dream mean to you personally?
Uh, Living the dream can be different for everybody, but basically to me, is if a person is happy, they don't have to be the richest person in the world. They don't have to be, they're happy and they're content. Uh, they got inner peace with themselves every day, and they're happy at what they're doing and the way that their life is going. To me, that's living the dream. Everybody, oh, if I'm a millionaire, then I'd be happy, this and that and stuff. But as you get older, you realize a lot of this stuff that we think means something at certain points of our life don't really mean nothing, and it's all about having your inner peace and being happy the way you see it, not the way everybody else sees happiness and success and living the dream.
Okay. Yeah, God, that makes a lot of sense. Um, I like this question too. I'm always searching the universe for this. What, Curtis, what daily practices, things that you do, keep you motivated? Be to be kept motivated is such an important thing. And I'm always looking for things to help keep me motivated because, lots of people my age are sitting on the front porch drinking prune juice and I got to get up and I got to do all this writing and all this stuff. What things keep you motivated?
My family, being able to take care of and provide for them, and basically, every, God has given me another opportunity to do it again, and so many other people didn't get this opportunity to wake up today. So just like I say, having the opportunity to wake up, take care of and providing for my family, and just continuing to move forward, seeing what else I can accomplish and how I can continue to help people more.
Which you do, which you do. Really, I just look back at that podcast we did and how you drew these great questions for me to ask and made me think. Um, it's funny. We live in this unbelievable world, which is changing, in my opinion, every 15 minutes, between all this AI stuff. But in your opinion, how is AI, not necessarily AI, but all the technology that has come down the road, helped you and empowered your independence because you're independent? So it really has helped you, hasn't it?
They absolutely have. And speaking of that, I know you had mentioned on the podcast that you work for the guy that has Ray-Ban. I'm wearing a pair of Ray-Ban meta
Wow.
glasses right now.
Wow.
But yeah, and things like that in the glasses to where you can ask it different questions and they can help you. And all of these apps, like Ira, Be My Eyes, and different AI apps that have came out and that are continuously being created is definitely helping and empowering stuff, in my everyday life, in my vending small business, and my personal life, and every aspect of my life.
Wow. By the way, it's funny. I sold sunglasses and eyeglasses for 25 years. And yes, I did work for 25 years for a company called Exotica and owned by Leonardo Del Vecchio, who became the world's wealthiest Italian. And I read the newspapers, and of course I retired from there, 15, 20 years ago. No, 15 years ago. But Mark Zuckerberg, the owner of Facebook, flew to Italy to meet with that guy I worked for 25 years. And Mark Zuckerberg had this idea to take the essence of a cell phone and put it into a pair of Ray-Bans. And that's how Meta glasses got born. Zuckerberg partnered with my old boss and Meta glasses. And that's why I wrote the book, which I think we talked about on your podcast, 10 Things I Learned from the Billionaire. Um,
Yep,
uh, because I spent 25 years there and I learned a lot of things under the whole umbrella of the billionaire and the sun and the unbelievable stuff, basic stuff. There's nothing revolutionary, basic everyday living and working and knowing how to conduct yourself, knowing about sales and support. But I'm so gratified to see that you're wearing a pair of those Ray-Bans. I remember I remember, I was a regional manager at Luxottica for all those years, and so I sat in on a lot of, you know, higher level meetings and stuff. And I remember when we bought Ray-Ban. Ray-Ban used to be made by a company I think called American Optical. The company's been around for a million years, and they have the most amazing name, Ray-Ban. It's one of the great brands, I guess like Coca-Cola, or Frigidaire, refrigerator, all these iconic names. And Ray-Ban was such an iconic name, but there was, I guess, a period and it could have done more, but it didn't. And then Luxottica came along and took Ray-Ban and brought it back into the upper stratosphere. And that's really cool that you're wearing it. So it kind of made my day. So, what messages do you hope listeners walk away after hearing your story now? What would you like people to take away?
Just want people to understand that you can do anything that you set your mind to. And I know there's a lot of depressing and negative stuff going on in the world, but you can do it, and you might have to figure out a different path. Your path might not be the same as others, or go as smooth, or you might not have as much success as you feel somebody else have. But success is what you believe it is, not what somebody else. So just get out here and do your thing, and try your best, and don't let nobody stop you.
Great. Nicely said. Nicely said. Um, when you need strength, is there anything in particular that inspires you? Um,
Yeah, I depend on my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I think back to all of the things that He's done for me in the past, and that is one thing that strengthens me when I'm at a low point or stuff like that.
okay, so you're a lyricist, and it's funny. The last couple of years, I listen to music. I'm mostly I came out of the '60s, so I've been stuck listening to folk music because that's what I grew up to, and all those folk singers. So the minute the '60s left and the '70s came, and maybe it was more heavy metal and stuff, I still kind of hung around. Um, I still kind of hung around in the '60s, and I'm still hanging around with '60s music. I guess that's just the way it is. I'm sure that my parents, when Elvis Presley started singing back in the '50s, my parents, it was so different for them. So they just kept on listening to their '40s music, and they never moved into the '50s or '60s for sure. Uh, um, but anyway, these last few years, I marvel at music, Curtis. I marvel what a gift music is to our species, and I marvel at the miracle of lyrics, how a mind and soul can create these amazing lyrics. In your whole journey, and you've got an EP coming out and stuff, is there any particular lyric that you wrote that stands out, something that you liked that's powerful?
I mean,
That's a hard
not
question.
not necessarily in anything that I guess stuck out, because I always strive to write something that's powerful. But I know on my EP I have a song called "Never Give Up," and what I'm basically telling people, hey, I know it's tough, but never give up, and the people that's doubting you right now is going to make you is once you succeed, they're gonna be looking up to you. Like I say, it's time to recreate the narrative, and when you succeed, you're gonna make them say, "Oh," just like Sierra did. So I think that's a powerful lyric there, basically saying, "Hey, don't give up, keep trying, and once you succeed, your doubters could become your biggest fans."
Okay. I like that. I just wrote that down. Never give up. You keep trying. Uh, and it's so true. And it's so true. And putting it into music, it's an eternal message. Never give up, and it really works. It really works. Um, Is there a legacy that you want to be remembered for? I mean, it's pretty obvious you're hugely motivational, inspirational, creative. Your whole attitude, your whole smile, everything about you. To me, that's a wonderful legacy. Are there other things you'd like to be remembered?
Well, whenever a person is feeling down, hopefully they'll be able to go back and reference an episode of my podcast that'll pick them up, or listen to a song that will encourage them and stuff like that. So just hopefully being able to leave motivational, encouraging stuff behind.
Um, I always like to ask this question, off topic, kind of. Um, Excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with.
Uh,
There's no rules here.
can I say Jesus?
Sure, you sure can. You
Yeah, I would
sure
like to
can.
would like to spend a day with him.
You sure can. You know, uh, uh, I don't know if we talked about it. I went to the Holy Land, 15, 16 years ago, whatever, maybe.
Yeah,
And maybe I told you but I went to the Holy Land, when we went on that trip with my wife and sister and sister-in-law and stuff, I couldn't walk because I had my knee was so bad, and I had been treated for 2 years, and I was walking with a cane, couldn't walk, and I almost didn't go. I almost didn't go on that trip, but I didn't want to ruin it for everybody else because they wouldn't have gone without me. So at the last minute, I said I'll go, but uh, the quid pro quo is if I go, I need 2 days to do what I need to do. And they said, okay, sure. So we went, and the very first day we're there, I needed to go. I got permission to climb on top of a Muslim school. There's a reason why I'm telling you this, Curtis. It's going to tie into what you just said. So I got permission. I climbed the top of a Muslim school and took pictures. I was real close to the Temple Mount, which is a really holy place, and it's a beautiful place. Took pictures. And later that day, I went to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. I needed to go there, and as soon as you walk in, you look on the second floor there, and uh, uh, that's where Christ was crucified back in the day. And then you walk further in, and they were letting two people at a time crawl through a little space in that church, and they wouldn't let me take my cane in, so I had to actually crawl through a little tunnel, and I get into this little cubicle, and that's Christ's casket, where he was buried and where he was resurrected from. So I did my own Calvin meditation and put my hands on the casket and expressed some gratitude for where I was and stuff. And that was that. And then my next to the last day there, I wanted to go to Nazareth. And by myself, I saw Joseph's church and then Mary's church. And the reason why I was alone, because nobody wanted to walk with me, I walked so slow with a cane. So I did Joseph Church, I did Mary's Church, the Church of the Annunciation, and I went down to the basement. There's a shrine to Mary, and did my own meditation. And then I walked up, and my pain was terrible. And I made a right-hand turn, and I started to walk out a side door, and I took one step out, and I yelled, "Oh my God!" And then everybody saw I yelled, "Oh my God!" Came running. My wife, sister, sister-in-law. And they all came running. What happened? I said, I just got healed. What do you mean, Calvin? I said, healed. There's no more pain. I don't need a cane anymore. And the truth was, I got healed. To this day, Curtis, 10, 12, 14 years later, whatever, um, I never had to get a new knee. Of course, I can't play tennis anymore, but, I'm old. But I got healed, and there really is, it's inexplicable. I got healed. So there are wonderful powers here that are beyond our comprehension, but it's real stuff because I'm a real guy, you know. Um, okay, last question for you. You inspired me to tell you that story because it's a powerful story. And it's funny, when I came back, I went to my orthopedist, who's a good friend of mine, and I said, "Oh, what's the deal here? You've been treating me all these years. You did all this stuff to me." And I come out of a church in Nazareth and I get healed. And he threw up his hands and he said, "Calvin, I don't know." And it was kind of funny. Anyway, last question for you, Curtis. Um, um, do you have what is your greatest dream moving forward?
Man, just to keep moving forward, keep teaching, motivating, inspiring people, and want my podcast to continue to grow and continue to monetize and be on a bigger stage as well as my music, and just keep doing more things to help and teach and motivate and inspire others.
That's great. So nicely said. So nicely said. So we finished this segment. And this is my second time with you, and of course I'm inviting you to come back. Hey, this was great, and I truly find you hugely motivational and inspirational, and really special. This has been special. Meeting you has been special for me because I feed off motivation and inspiration, and so I've been feeding off you for energy. And I thank you. And when your EP drops, come back and let's talk about that. I would love that.
For 20 of 2026.
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna stop recording. And truly, I would love you to come back and we can rap. I like to throw that term in. We can rap and talk about the podcast, your podcast, talk about whatever, your music. And thank you so much, Curtis, for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm going to just stop recording. Don't leave. We're just going to do a little